In this tutorial, I will show you how to create table of contents. So you have been working with your research paper or a large document which contains lots of headings and subheadings and sections and so forth. I will show you, demonstrate how to take all these headings and then create a table of content within Word 2013. A couple of ways we can do this. We can use built-in table of contents, or we can create our own table of contents. So let's take a look at how to create table of contents in Word 2013. The References tab contains the table of contents group. Okay, so once I click on References, on the left side, my first group on the left is Table of Contents. And here I can insert Table of Contents, which is again built-in Table of Contents. First couple of options, or I can create a manual Table of Contents list. I can download from office.com some templates of Table of Contents, set custom Table of Contents, or remove them. And notice the last option, though it's dimmed out, because right now I don't have any Table of Contents created. If I had a Table of Contents, then I could simply save it as a building block, right? So you save selection Table of Contents gallery, so I can reuse the same style for my future research papers. The other option is add text. Here I can add various text to the table of contents, or I can say do not show in table of contents if I need to, or I can update the table. Once I have created a table of contents, I can update the table of contents. For example, if I made changes to the headings or the subheadings, I need to update the table. So Word will automatically update the table of contents, as opposed to doing things manually, which will consume a lot of time. So let me demonstrate how it's done. To create a table of contents, first we define the headings, right? So we need to define our headings as what style of headings do we want. So for example, my first heading in this paper is Introduction. I need to go back to my Home tab, and under Styles I need to say, well, use heading 1 style for my first heading. Okay, and you can use heading 1, heading 2, or heading 3. I scroll down to my next heading, simply highlight, and tell Word that I want heading 1 for my next heading. I continue on for the rest of my headings, okay, whichever I have for my within my research paper, okay, because I'm going to tell Word later on that, hey, use these headings and create a table of content. Okay, so I'm just defining these styles as heading 1, and I'm going to use references here as my heading also. Okay. All right, so I've defined all these headings. Okay, so let's get back up here and place the insertion point where I want the table of contents to be. So I'm going to insert a few lines. Oops. Okay, this is where I want, and maybe I don't want 24. I want a regular table of contents. Okay. So once I've identified these styles as heading 1 for all my headings, which is again done in the Home tab and in my Styles group. Once I'm done with that, I place the cursor or the insertion point where I want the table of contents to be. I have to go back up to my References tab, and under Table of Contents, I simply select the table type. So I'm going to say, okay, well, insert this type. And notice the difference between the two is that the automatic table 1 contents label context that includes all text formatted with headings 1 and 3 styles, and the same thing label table of contents that includes all text formatting with 1 and 3 styles. So this is essentially pretty much the same. The only difference is that this says table of contents and this is just contents. Or you can create your own manual table of contents as well. All right, so I'm going to select automatic table 2, and as soon as I do this, it's going to create a table of contents for me. I can format this the way I want it. I can update it. Notice as soon as I click anywhere within the table of contents, Word tells me, hey, do you want to update the table? And if I update now, nothing's going to happen for now because I didn't make any changes. But just to show you, once I click on Update Table, it gives me the Update Table of Contents dialog box. And this is where I can say, okay, update page numbers only, or update the entire table. Okay. So even if I say okay, it's essentially the same. All right, let's say if I want a subheading. So after introduction, I'd like to create a subheading which is going to say global HRM challenges. Okay. And let me continue on and update the table. I can right click anywhere on the table, click update field, or I can use this. Same thing. And update entire table. And notice what happens. Okay. Where it does, it creates another heading, level 1, which is global HRM challenges, which is right here. Okay. And the reason why it used heading 1 is because this style, global HRM challenges, is also same as introduction level heading. What happens if I define this global HRM challenges to be a heading 2? Okay, so I select global HRM challenges. I go back up to my home tab so I can see my styles gallery. And here's my heading 2. So I apply heading 2 style to this. I'm also going to do some formatting here. Okay. And let's go back to our references tab. So you can see a table of contents. Now if I right click or just update table from here, update table, and notice Word tabs it a little bit, okay? Which essentially means that, hey, this is my main heading is introduction, and then heading 2 is global HRM challenges. And of course, I can format, any which way I want. If I need to change some formatting text, for example, if I make it bold using my keyboard, I can say Control B, which is bold, and Control I for italic. Notice my table does not change. I have to update the table. So as soon as I update the table, entire table, boom. So very, very efficient way to working with table of contents. You can work with them, you can edit them, you can update the table, and of course you can create many links to your document back and forth. So if you have large documents that you work with, very, very easy way to use. And of course you can always select the table and then save it as a building block, or change styles. You can create your own style sets or styles for this table of contents, so you can have the same formatting or the requirement based on the requirements that you have. So I've demonstrated how to create or insert a table of contents. If you need to create a manual table of contents, you follow the same process. Okay, so there's no difference. Okay, you just create the headings, you define the headings, you insert the headings into your table of contents, and you define the styles. Let me also demonstrate how to create a table of contents manually. So we have seen the built-in table of contents within Word 2013. What if you were to create your own table of contents based on the headings that you have and you wish not to use some of the built-in templates? To do this, we do exactly the same process. So let me run this again. You highlight, you go to our home tab, and let's say this is our heading 1. And I'm just going to do the same for my headings, just like I did earlier. Okay. And this is a good practice also, so you can see it one more time how to create table of contents, but at the end you'll be able to see how to create manual table of contents and how to work with additional headings so that it's easier to identify based on various headings. Okay, so my primary headings are all heading 1. This is how I've set this up to be. Scroll up here to my introduction. So once I've done this, I'm going to place my insertion point. Oops, go down here where I want my table of contents to be, and I'm going to use again the size 12. Okay, to do this, go to my references tab. Okay, and that's where my table of contents are. And notice in this instance, I'm not going to use the built-in templates. Okay, I'm going to use an option called custom table of contents. So I select this. Word automatically shows me the preview. I can have the option to say use hyperlinks instead of page numbers so that it's easier to navigate. I can say show page numbers or not show page numbers next to my headings. If I choose to show page numbers, I can define it the way I want. I can select a template. Okay, so distinctive, fancy, modern, okay, formal, or I want something simple. Okay, so let's hit formal here for now. I can choose the type of lines that I want and what automatically shows me in the preview. I can right align the page numbers, or have it right next to the headings. Okay, you can see that. And my levels are up to 5. So notice how my heading level changes as I change the levels on show. So if I insert, for instance, under my heading 1, which is introduction in this instant case, if I insert a subheading, that would be level heading 2, and then a subheading would be a level heading 3, 4, and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to say, all right, well, show up to level 5. It's fine. I can click on options. This option dialog box is pretty nice because it allows me to actually see. If I scroll down in available styles, notice how I see my heading 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And let me put this aside here so you can see. And in this instance also, when I'm creating table of contents manually, I have 5 heading options. What if I want more? I can certainly say, okay, well, give me heading 6 also. So it just depends on how many level of headings you have or you want like to create for your table of contents. Okay, so this is where you can edit the available heading styles. Okay. So I click OK on my options and notice where it shows me the heading 6 also automatically because I've selected it. So once I'm done creating my table of contents the way I want them to be, I click OK, and boom, Word inserts a table of content for me. And here notice it's a manual table of contents inserted, and I can always click on, since I've had it set it up to be web links, so I can click on the control key on my keyboard and then follow link. It'll take me to the framework and research objective. And here I can create another link which takes me back. Remember in our earlier tutorial you can create a bookmark and a hyperlink, so it takes you from this page, this particular section or heading, to your table of contents. So I can do the same for any of these. So we've also seen how to create a manual table of contents. Let's take a short quiz now. In this tutorial, I will show you how to create a table of figures. In the previous tutorial, you've seen how we can create a table of contents, right, automatically and manually. So if you have a bunch of pictures in your document, in your research proposal, or your research paper, or article that you're writing, or blog that you're writing, it's much easier to work with table of figures instead of manually trying to insert a subheading for a specific image or picture. Okay, so let me demonstrate this to you right now. This is our sample document open. I've already opened it. Okay, and same headings, same everything, just like in previous tutorials. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a few pictures, and I will demonstrate along the way how to create a table of figures at the end. Okay, so let's say, for instance, I like to insert a picture here right after introduction. I like a nice image here to show the introduction. Straightforward. I just go up to my insert tab, and in my illustrations group, insert pictures. Okay, here are some sample pictures that I have. So how about hey, I like this cat. Okay, so let's insert this cat here. Make it smaller. Okay. And work with some of the options of the picture itself. How to place the picture, how to change the picture. I can do that. And again, this is pretty straightforward when you're working with it. Okay. So once I've inserted the picture, do this. I can position the picture wherever I want, the way I want it to be. So let's do this, and again, Word 13 automatically does it, or you can manually do it from your editing page. When you double click on the picture, it brings up the formatting tab, and here you can format the picture however you want. Play with it. It just depends on what type of picture style you want in your Word. So I'm just going to go ahead and let's see which one looks much better. How about this? All right, so I've inserted a picture, nice picture in my introduction tab. What if I want to label this picture, right? What is this picture all about? What is this figure? what do I want to call it, how do I work with it. Okay, so notice there's no space here on the bottom, so I cannot really label this. Okay, and then eventually create a list of all the pictures. What if I have over 50 pictures in my research proposal or document or my article? How would I sequentially keep track of them? Okay? And that's exactly what I'm going to show you now. So first, we insert a picture. Once you've inserted the picture, let's go to our References tab. And notice I'm interested in this Captions group, okay, where it says Insert Table of Figures, okay, and Insert Caption. Now, obviously, we have to insert captions first before we insert Table of Figures. So first, when we insert a caption, it basically labels our picture. So once you've added a caption, you can reference your object anywhere in your document by inserting a cross-reference. So I can jump from picture to picture or reference this picture at later points in later areas within my document. All right, so here's my picture. I select the picture, click Insert Caption, and Word automatically pops up a dialog box, caption dialog box, and it fills up with this custom field, which is Figure 1. Okay, I can label, change labels. Okay, I can say Shape 1, I can say Equation 1, Table 1, Figure 1, and so forth. Or I can create my own new labels, okay, whichever I want. I can also number it. So if I don't want Figure 1, if I want Figure A, Figure Roman numeral I, okay, I can do that. Okay. If I'm working with different chapters, working on my thesis or dissertation or long document, different chapters, I can specify chapter starts with style heading 1 and use a separator as well, depending on the type what I want. Okay. So in this example, I'll just pick format 1, 2, 3, which is fine. Figure 1. Notice the auto caption button here. This is very handy, especially when you're using many images within your document. So Word is going to automatically keeps numbering those. Okay. So for example, I've checked this up to be a bitmap image, since I've inserted an image. So once I check this box and click OK, Word is going to automatically insert Figure 1, and then my next picture is going to be Figure 2, and then the following image would be Figure 3, and so on. Okay, so you don't have to manually enter the numbers. Okay, that's all this does. So once I've specified, I click OK, and you see that Figure 1 is now inserted under my picture because I wanted it below. I can have it on the top as well. Okay? And that was one of the options. So once I've inserted the picture, notice Word brings up its own text box. If I wish, I can group these two together so they stick together, or I can leave it as it is. It depends. So to grouping is very easy. You just select this text box, which says Figure 1, hold the Control key on the keyboard and select the picture. Notice how it highlights both of them. You right click anywhere within the picture frame, and then you say Group. Okay? So you group them. So notice this entire picture, including the table of contents, is part of one group. So if I move it anywhere, the Figure 1 also moves it. So just a quick tip I wanted to show you. Alright, so here's my first picture. Let me go down to my next heading. Here I like to insert another picture, so I go back to my Insert menu and I'm looking for my picture. Okay, Insert Picture, same thing. This time I'm going to insert a nice sunflower here. Alright, so fix the wrapping here. Wrapping, okay. Up here. Okay, here's my picture. So notice if I double click, it brings up the formatting tools. If I click once, it does the same thing. So double click means editing. If you click once, Word brings up the editing tools. Okay. So picture frame, symmetry. Go back up to my References tab and insert a caption. And notice this time when I insert a picture, Word automatically says Figure 2. Okay, because that's auto captioning. Click OK. Scroll down to my third heading. Do the same exercise again. Insert picture. How about Nice bicycle here. With text wrapping. Do some quick formatting here with my picture. Okay. And I'm going to apply the same style. Okay, there it is. Go back up to my references tab and insert a caption. Okay. So you get the idea, right? So this way, within your document, you can insert as many pictures as you want, wherever you want them, and you can start inserting captions. But once you're done with your pictures, go back up to wherever you want your table of figures to be. So let's say I wish to insert the table of figures right above my introduction. So you place the insertion point wherever you want the table of figures to be, and go back up to your under references tab and captions group. This time we are going to use insert table of figures. Okay, and the reason why, because we're done with the insert caption, right? So we have inserted captions figure 1, 2, 3, and so on all these images. Once you're done, you go back up to wherever you want the table of figures to be, to place them, and click on Insert Table of Figures on the Captions group on the ribbon. Once I do this, Word brings up a dialog box, Table of Figures, and it asks me and shows me a preview of what my table of figures is going to look like. Okay. So for instance, if I would like to show page numbers, it's going to display the page numbers. If I wish to use the hyperlinks instead of page numbers, in this example, I'm not going to use hyperlinks because I used it earlier in the previous tutorial. Show page numbers, that's fine. I'm going to pick a template, formal, same template that we picked earlier, so we keep our symmetry together. And tab header, I think this is what we used earlier. And notice how, once I make the changes, how Word shows me the preview. Okay? So this is what, on the right side, this is what it's going to look like on the web. Okay? So if you were to publish this document on your website or on your blog, this is what it's going to look like. Okay? And if I use hyperlinks, this is what it's going to look like. Okay? On the left side, this is how it's going to look like on my within my document. I have a couple of options here. Simply build table of figures from balloon text, my style. So again, if I have a preset style made for my table of figures, I can use that. I can pick that, okay, from the styles. If not, Word will default to whichever that is. Okay. All right, so once I'm done configuring the options, I click OK, and Word automatically creates the table of figures for me. So give this a heading, table of figures. Okay. Remove this extra line, and here we are. Okay. This way, it's now going to update automatically. So for instance, we have 3 figures, right? Figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. Let me scroll down, okay, a couple of pages down here, my next heading, and I'm going to show you something. So here, for example, I just remembered that I'm going to insert another picture. So do the same exercise again, insert, and then go to picture. How about this circle of stairs here? Okay, do some quick formatting down here. Notice how how comfortably you can move and work with Word 13. It's really nice. Okay, do some quick formatting here. Okay, this style that we used. And once I've selected my picture, go back up to References tab and insert a caption. And notice Word again automatically pulls up and says, hey, it's figure number 4. So not to worry. Click OK, and here's my figure 4. And let me go back up to my table of figures here. Notice, even though I have 4 images, but the table of figures only displays figure 1, 2, and 3. Why is that? You know this, right? Because we have to update the table, remember? This is the table of figures, and we update it. And the way we update is a couple of ways. First, you can use your keyboard, hit F9, and boom, you can see updates. Or you can right-click anywhere within the table of figures and update field. So your choice. As soon as I do this, it asks me, do I want to update page numbers only or update the entire table, which is what I want. Click OK, and boom, figure 4 is on page 6. Okay, so powerful way of inserting table of figures, working with figures, and notice if I change something, the table is going to update. All I have to do is just hit F9 on my keyboard or update the table. Let's take a short quiz. Citations are important, right? So if you're working with, let's say you're writing a blog article or a standard article for a research article, you want to be able to cite your sources. And once you cite your sources based on certain styles like APA6 style or MLA or Chicago or Harvard, you want to be able to cite those sources correctly and then list them at the bottom. So in this tutorial, we'll take a look at how we create and mark citations and work with those tables. And under my references tab on my far right side on the ribbon, so this is what we're going to be working with, how to marking a citation and how to insert table of authorities. Very similar process as marking entry and then inserting an index. Very similar process to inserting a caption, inserting a table of figures. So it follows the same sequence. You insert a caption, insert a table of figures, and then you identify, mark your entries, and then you insert indexes. Same thing, you mark your citations, and then you insert a table of authorities. Okay, so that's the concept here. So let's scroll down to our document. Control End brings me to the bottom of my document. Let me get to my first citation here. Obviously, if you were to do this and if you were to write 30 citations, that's going to take you a long time. Okay. And then you have to make sure that these are formatted correctly also. All right, let's see how we can create a table of authority based on my references or various citations here. Same process. I want to be able to highlight my citation, go back up to my reference under my references tab on the right side, table of authorities, and mark the citations, which brings up a dialog box, mark citation dialog box, and shows me my selected text. And again, I can change these categories. These are just built-in category. I can assign my own category if I want. So for example, if this citation that I've selected to be marked is a case or it belongs to a statute, other authorities, regulations, constitutional provisions, and so forth. The first 7 are built-in, and then from 8 to 16, I can define my own categories. Okay? So if it's a citation that belongs to a book, for example, or to a different blog on a certain website, I can create my own category and simply click on category, which brings up this, and I can either replace one of these or I can say, hey, I want a blog article reference. So I click OK. I notice in my drop down I would have this option. Oops, I didn't replace that, did I? I didn't save it. Okay, so let's do this again. So click on category. Okay, let's say blog article, and notice I have to say replace. Okay, last time I simply said okay, and the word says, well, all right, well, just by saying okay is not going to replace it. So that's why we have this replace button. So this time I replace the number 8 with the blog article. So make sure you hit replace, and then you click OK. So this time I will have an option called blog article. Okay, so if I'm referencing this citation as within a blog article category, I can categorize accordingly. Okay, so it just depends on how you want to work with your citations. So once you have selected this, I click, all right, I want to go to my next citation now. Okay, so I've marked this entry. I'd like to go to my next citation, so I'm going to highlight my next citation. And if I just click within this area, Word automatically says, oh, here's the text you want to mark. Yes, I'd like to mark this. Click mark, and Word marks this, and it shows me that, let me bring this down so you can see that this text is marked. Okay, and the reason I know because of these curly parentheses, right? This is how it marks it. And notice I forgot to mark my first text, so I'm going to go back up, click anywhere in the selected area and says mark, and now my first citation is also marked. So we'll continue this. I'm going to mark a few more citations. I'm just going to select this and click here anywhere on the screen, on the area, selected area, and click mark. Do the same thing with my fourth citation. Highlight first, click anywhere in the selected area, click mark. Now I can always use mark all, right? So I highlight all my citations and say mark all, and Word is going to mark it. All right, one more citation I'd like to mark. Let me get this out of the way here. Citation number 5, area, and mark. And click close once I'm done. Okay. And notice the reason why I see these entries within curly parentheses, I've mentioned this earlier, but just to reiterate, reinforce, this is just show hide. Okay, remember? And you remember the shortcut key on the keyboard? Control, Shift, and number 8. Okay, so Word hides my table of authorities, my marking citations. I could do this from my Home tab also. Go to my paragraph group and show hide, and now Word shows me my citation. So again, whether you use the keyboard, fair enough, you can use it. It's much faster. You can also use it from your ribbon area. Okay, so I've marked these 5 citations. I'd like to now create a table of authorities. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down to my bottom of a document somewhere, find some empty space. Well, how about if I bring a new page here so it's easier to see. So this is where I would like to insert my table of authorities. Once I've placed my insertion point, I go back up to my References tab, all the way to the right under Table of Authorities group. And notice this option, which is on the far top right side, Insert Table of Authorities. So I simply click on this. Brings up a dialog box which says, okay, how do you want this? How do you want your table of authorities to look like? And Word shows me on my left side the print preview. I can use this passum feature, which is simply if I would like to elaborate or insert, create, use certain numbers, as you see changes in the preview. Or if I don't want it, which is fine, I would not want this to be, keep original formatting, which is Word is going to keep that. Or I can use similar options that I've been using in the past. So I'm going to say none. I'm going to use a simple format in my table of authorities. Here are my categories. I can select my categories if I want to display all my categories, so I can use my citations. And once I've set up my settings here, click OK, and notice how Word inserts the table of authorities for me. So very powerful. This way, if something happens, if I cite something, I make changes, Word automatically updates the table for me. Now, there are third-party softwares available which can do these citations for you, which are very, very powerful, and I use them also. So you can use Word, which works equally good, but if you're using more advanced features or you want some more customizations, you may want to use some third-party software as well, just like I use this Mendeley. I use Mendeley, for example, for my citations, and these are all add-ins, and I've shown you how to get to your add-ins, right? Go to your File, Options, and I'm going to show you this quickly. Add-ins, and here are my add-ins. Okay, so I'm using a couple of these add-ins like Mendeley, for example, so that it helps me with this citation. So again, third-party, or you can use Word, equally good, and it helps you with creating a table of authorities. Okay. So we've seen in this tutorial how to mark your citations. First, you have to write them the way you want it to be in a certain format, and then how to create a table of authorities based on your citations. Let's take a short quiz. In this lecture, I'll show you how to work on 3 different things. First, we'll take a look at how to work with cross-referencing our text, figures, tables within our document. Secondly, we'll take a look at how to work with footnotes and endnotes while working with large documents or your research paper. And third, we'll also take a look at how to insert citations and create a bibliography. Very, very important, especially when you're working with your large research documents or your article or your research paper. These 3 techniques will help you long ways. Okay. So let me begin. Here we have our document open, which is a sample, again, document, PhD research proposal. We've been working with this document for quite some time now, so by now you're probably familiar with this already. All right, so in our references tab, up on the ribbon, okay, we have to find the captions group, and within captions there's an option called cross-reference. Okay, so cross-reference works very similar to like hyperlinking, and it's really simple and easy to use, and yet very effective. Okay, so for instance, down in my text here, at the end of the last paragraph or anywhere here, I like to be able to say, for more details, see. All right, okay, so here is where I would like to create a cross-reference to another figure in my document. Now, if my document is 100 pages, I don't know where that figure is, right? Although I have created figures with captions, auto captions, and we've learned this in the last few tutorials, right? So I have a bunch of figures in my document. I don't know where these figures are. The only thing I know that yes, when I created these figures, I used the auto caption option or inserting captions with my figures. So each figure contains a caption. So I want to say, I want to create a cross-reference. So all I have to do is just say, for more details, see. Okay, once I'm here and my cursor is blinking, I go up to my captions group on the ribbon, and this is under, again, the references tab, and I click on cross-reference. Notice that as soon as I click on cross-reference, Word says, okay, well, for which caption do you want to create a reference to? Whether it's figure 1 or figure 2. Well, I want to use figure 2. If I had more figures within my document, more images, right, or figures or tables or anything else, it would show. But my reference type here is figure. I can also select a table. This list is going to show. Right now I just have one table. So let's say I want to link this to table 1, and I'm going to use it as insert as hyperlink, and click insert, close, and Word inserts a field for me. And notice when I take my cursor on top of this field, it says use your keyboard. I'm using your control key on the keyboard, plus click will take you to that table. So let me demonstrate that. So as soon as you hold the control key on the keyboard, notice the cursor changes with a hand. So you click once, and now you're at table 1. Okay, so this is my table. You get the idea. We can create cross-references anywhere with any text, with any image, with any figures within your document. Very easy to navigate and tell the user or the reader know that what are you cross-referencing. Okay, so fairly simple. Okay. All right, next let's take a look at how to work with footnotes. Okay, so I'm interested in this group called footnotes, which is again under the references tab. Everything that we're doing for the last few tutorials is under the references tab, right? So in the footnotes group, I can create or add some footnote. Okay, a footnote is simply a text on my margin, on my footer here at the end of the page, letting me know that I'm going to cite something, I'm going to reference something. Okay, so for example, anywhere in your document, I'm just going to demonstrate creating a footer here. Okay, so let's say I'm reading this, the approaches to HRM here, right here. The approaches to HRM, which are laid out in an organization's corporate policy, are starkly different in various markets when they begin to globalize. Okay, so I want to cite this. I want to create a footnote here. The first thing is I need to make sure that I place my insertion point where I want this footnote to be, and simply go up to my footnotes group on the ribbon here and click insert footnote. And what it does, it would add a footnote at the bottom of the page. Okay, so I'm going to say insert a footnote, and here's my footnote. And I can say author Taylor John 2001. And of course I can format it, I can use styles, right? We've done with that before. Okay, so this is how you would start creating footnotes. And notice on where I created the footnote, Word places a little number 1. Okay, saying this is my first footnote, so it uses the number 1. And when I hover over this footnote, it actually in fact shows me who this footnote belongs to, or what's in this footnote. If I double click on it, it'll take me to the footnote again. Okay? So you can create footnotes, you can continue creating footnotes. If I add another footnote, for example, let's say I want to add it right here after the word professionals. Just make sure my insertion point is at the end of the word. Click insert footnote, and notice Word automatically uses the number 2 as my second footnote. So in this case, I'm going to use Collins 2002. Okay, so I'm just making this up, right? You can have to make sure what citations you're using, what type of note you're using, what type of style, and we'll get to the bibliography and citations a little later also. Okay. All right. So once you've created these footnotes, you can take a look at how to show notes. I want to show you some options working with footnotes. So if you click on the bottom right hand corner of the footnotes group, notice the footnote and end note dialog box pops up. A footnote is obviously straightforward. It places a footnote at the end of the page. An end note places at the end of the document, and which is right here. Okay, end notes end of the document, and footnotes at the bottom of the page or below the text. So I have two options within my footnotes. I can convert all my footnotes to endnotes, or convert endnotes to footnotes and swap them if I like. Okay, so Word gives me these options as well. I can match the section layout, columns, 1 column, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and depending upon my formatting structure, I can use the number format for my footnotes, 1, 2, 3, ABC, or whichever ones you want to pick. I can create a custom mark using a symbol, or I can have it start by 1, so it'll be my first footnote, or I can start it with 2. The numbering can be continuous, or it will restart after each section. Again, these are all options that I can set up before I start inserting footnotes or endnotes. And the changes can be applied to the whole document or the page once I am there. All right, so I've shown you these options. I've shown you how to insert footnotes. Fairly straightforward, nothing complicated here. And for EndNote, if I need to create an EndNote, I just click on EndNote, and it'll take me to the bottom of the page, okay, at the end of the page, which is page 15. So here I can use the EndNote. Okay? So I can say Doug, 2003. So it just depends on how you want to create endnotes or footnotes. Okay? And show notes simply takes me from one footnote to the other, and I can work off of there. So double click on it, it'll take me to there. So just switching from one to the other. All right, the last thing I want to show you is working with the citations and bibliography group, which is again under the reference tab. And we'll take a look at how we can create these citations. Notice in this document, let me go to my first citation here, reference here. Notice I've created some references here, okay? And these have to be, first of all, based on certain style, okay? What do I mean by style? Style is simply the citation style that you wish to choose, or your college, university, or your employer, or whatever tells you to use a certain style, okay, of citing references. And these styles are either APA, which is the American Psychological Association style. The current is 6th edition, where I can use the Chicago style, and so forth. The IEEE style is common, and then the MLA is also pretty common. Okay, so depending upon the style that you want to use, Word gives you all these options to pick the style of citations. The popular one, I guess, is APA style, 6th edition. Majority of the time, most of the time we use this, or you'll end up using Chicago or MLA. So you have to be able to know these styles and the way they are formatted. Each style is formatted to their own specific requirements. So we'll see how we can create these citations. All right, so create a citation. First, we need to tell Word, hey, I need to insert a citation based on wherever I want to insert. So for example, in my text here in my paper, I like to insert a citation at the end of paragraph, and I'm going to say insert citation and add new source. So once I click on add new source, Word asks me what type of source am I going to be citing. Is it going to be a journal article? Am I citing a book section? Am I referencing an article in a periodical? Conference reading reports, a website. Okay, sometimes you So if it's a website, you just pick website, fill in the information, okay, name of the web page, name it. E-learning, okay. Oops. This is the name, the year, this is November, and today is Monday. And here's my URL. So if I like to increase more fields, I can say show all bibliography fields, in which it gives me even the author name. Okay, so I can say, all right, so here's what I'm going to say: my author name. If there's an editor, producer, production company, and notice the red asterisk means these are mandatory, so you need to enter these names for sure. If you're using fields, it's recommended field. All right, so once you fill out with these fields, all these fields, any comments, short title, version, year accessed, okay, same thing, day accessed. So you can fill all these fields regarding the type of source that you're citing. So once you're done, Word also generates a tag name, and the tag name will be used to uniquely identify this source. Okay, so it's auto-generated. You can also change the name if you wish to. So once I'm done creating the source, I click OK, and notice Word creates a field for me, which inserts the citation. Okay, similarly, if I need to cite here, I create and insert citation again. I can add a new source, and this time my source is a journal article, and the author is John Collins, and the title is Management Sciences. The journal name is Management Journal, and I'm just typing here just to demonstrate to you, right? Okay, so it's 2014, and this journal has 250 pages. Okay, if I increase again the additional fields, I can say publisher, say Sage. Okay, the publisher, short titles, numbers, issues, and I can fill these fields, because I'm creating the type of sources journal article. So anything that related to this particular journal, I can input all the information. And same thing if it's a corporate author, then I can enter that name, or I can just say fill out all these fields. Okay, so month is November, and so forth. All right, so once I'm done, click OK, and notice Word inserts another field for me, and the formatting is automatically based on the style that I'm using here, which is APA 6th edition. Okay, so whichever style I've selected, Word is going to automatically cite according to the requirements of this style. Okay, so even if you don't know the requirements of these styles, not to worry, Word will do that for you, especially for all these common styles. If these styles are not listed here, then you would have to create and make sure that you follow the certain style. Okay, you have to manually do that. And that's really why I use this group as an add-in. Remember, you will not probably see this in your own Word 2013 ribbon under the Reference tab. And I've told you a couple of times before in my tutorials, and I'm going to tell you again, that this is an add-in, right? So if you don't see this on your ribbon, that's perfectly fine. Okay, citations and bibliography is what you are going to see on your ribbon. And the reason why you don't see this part, Mendeley Cite-O-Matic, is because it's an add-in. And I can show you File, Options, under Add-ins. Here's my add-in. That's why you see that on the ribbon. Okay. If I remove this add-in, then you're not going to see it. All right, so I just quickly want to show you this. All right, back to inserting citations. So we have inserted 2 citations just as an example, and we're going to see how we create a bibliography next. So once I'm at a place where I would like to insert the bibliography, I go up to my Citations and Bibliography group on the ribbon area. This is under, again, my References tab. And I click on Bibliography, and Word gives me some built-in options. Okay, note, for example, that these bibliographies are essentially building blocks in Word, okay? We work with them, so these are nothing but building blocks, and you can obviously edit them, change them, or create your own blocks. But Word gives me three different built-in options. First is simply bibliography, the second is reference headings, and the third is works cited. So again, just three different types of headings. The rest stays the same. Based on my style that I have selected, Word is going to create this for me. Okay? So I'm going to say references, and as soon as I do this, Word creates a reference for me. And of course, I can format it a little bit so it shows up. Nice. So this is a good way to create a bibliography. Anything that changes now within any of these, notice these are just update. I can update these citations by updating the table, okay, or right-clicking on the table itself and click Update Field. It's going to update field for me. Okay. I can apply a style, in fact. So if I have a style, I can simply go up to my Styles box and click Style 1, and it applies the style. Good way, okay, to create your citations and work with them. So practice, we've taken a look at in this tutorial how to work with cross-reference under the References tab, Captions group. We've also looked at the Footnotes group, how to insert a footnote and endnote. And we've also looked at the Citations and Bibliography group and how to insert a citations, create a source, and then how to insert your references and bibliography. Okay? So I hope with a little practice, I'm sure it will be very, very easy for you. Okay? So let's take a quiz. In this tutorial, I will demonstrate how to create forms within Word 2013. Forms that are fillable. You can fill them out, your users can fill them out, your colleagues or other co-workers can fill out forms. You can create templates specifically designed based on these forms to collect data, to collect information for your organization or for your research or for whichever purpose. Okay, a very powerful way collecting data and making it more user-friendly for individuals to enter information. From simple forms to complex forms, I'll show you how to create a form and design a form within Word 2013. All right, so here's our document, a sample document that I've opened already, just a research paper, right, that we've been working with. Notice up in the menus, the Insert, Design, Page Layout, References, Mailings, Review, and View, we don't really see an option of creating a form. And probably within your Word 2013 display, you would not see any of these options. So none of these menus contains forms. And we've pretty much worked with almost all of these, but we haven't really seen the option of forms in any of these menus. To get the new tab for the forms, we need to go to our File, Options, and under Customize Ribbon is where you will see on the right side an option called the Developer tab. And in most cases, this will be unchecked. So you'd have to go to File Options and Customize Ribbon and then check this box. Okay, so as soon as you check the Developer box and click OK, the Developer tab is now active, okay, within your Word 2013 environment. So you will need this tab to create forms. So this is the first step. So you need to make sure that you have this Developer tab. Okay. So once I click on this Developer tab, I see a bunch of options, right? So I see my first group, starting from the left, is the Code group, where I can record a macro. I can play with Visual Basic programming language. Then I have my add-ins, okay? I have my controls, and this is exactly where we need to be. This is what we need to use to create forms, okay? So we create forms using the controls group. Some additional groups that we have is mapping, protection, and then templates, okay? And then we'll work with all of these various groups, and I'll show you in the next couple of tutorials also. But first, in this particular tutorial, I'm interested in creating a form in Microsoft Word. So let's say this document that you have, and you are about to create let's come up with a conference, okay? So conference on global management, that's what we're interested in. And within this document, we are going to create a form so that the user, whoever we send this document to, can simply fill out the form and then send it back to us. So let's say we want to create a form. I don't know, this may not be the right document, but you get the point, right? So we're just using this as a sample document. So I'm going to use the heading here called Global Management Conference. Okay, and that's our heading for our form. And we're going to say, please fill out the following form. Now notice the way I teach is we do everything from scratch, right? So I don't have a form built in that I'm just going to show you. I'm actually going to do it for you, so you get to see how we design a form. Okay, so here's my text. Please fill out the following form, and my first is fill out your name. Okay, colon. I'm going to hit a couple of tabs so that move forward. All right, so this is where I would like to insert a field now, right? So I'm going to create a form. So I want the user to fill out their name in a particular box, which I can confine the user to various things, to do only specific things. So once I have my cursor blinking, the insertion point where I want this field to be, I go up to my developer tab, right? And then my content group. And here are all my controls, right? So first is the rich text content control. And then the next one is the plain text content control. The difference between these two is that with the rich text, I can use some additional formatting features such as bold, italic, and so forth. Okay. With plain text, I'm a little bit limited to some of the formatting options. Then I can have a picture content control, so I can have the user insert a picture. Building blocks gallery. My date picker content control, I can have the user select a date. My drop-down content control list. Combo box content control. Checkbox content control. And my repeating section content control, okay, which basically inserts a control that contains other controls and repeats the contents of that control. And then I have my legacy controls tools also, which means that earlier versions of Word, Words 2010 or 2007, I can use some of the ActiveX controls as well. I can insert a command button, assign a macro to it, and again, I'll show you as we move along in the next upcoming tutorials how to use some of these ActiveX controls also and run some basic programming as well. But for now, we're interested in the name, okay, field, and I'm going to insert just a plain text content control. As soon as I click on the content control, Word enters a custom field. It's always a good idea to use this, be in the design mode. Even though I did not use the design mode to begin with, but I think for you guys, it's a good idea to use the design mode. So it's good to see the properties. It's good to see how your form is building up. Okay, so make sure you're in design mode, and then you insert this field. Okay. So once I have this field, notice it says click here to enter text, and that's default text that Word enters. If I click away from the box, it shows me that this is where the user is going to be entering the name. If I right click on this content control, I can go to properties, or I can use properties here, same thing. Okay. All right, here are my content control properties. I can give it a title to this control, so I can say name. I can create some tags if I want to. It's up to me. I can show it as a bounding box or start to end tag, and the tags are these tags, right? So I can display these tags if I want to, or I can just show the box, the rectangular box that you see, okay? Or I can say none. So I'm going to say I'm going to show a box, and then the color. Okay, if I want to, I can use the color option. I can also use a style to format text. Remember styles? So I can create a new style, or I can pick any of them, one of these styles, that existing styles that I have. It depends on your requirement. Remove content control when contents are edited. So once I edit controls, I can remove the content control. Here are good features, locking features. So if I select a content control cannot be deleted, that means the user, whoever I send this document to, will not be able to delete the content control. And if I want to restrict some editing, I can do that also. Allow multiple carriage returns, which means that the user can enter, carriage returns to enter additional text. So again, a few good properties to work with. So once I've given a name, notice Word 2013 puts a name, title next to my content control. Okay. All right, so I have this, and then I'm going to go to my next line. I'm going to say, all right, name, and then location. I want to be able to see where you are. And in this case, I'm going to enter a drop-down list control because I would like the user to just pick the location, specific locations. I don't want the user to enter locations by their own. So I'm going to use this drop-down list content control. And notice the word says choose an item, but I need to define the items, right? Otherwise, it's blank right now. So right-click, go to Properties, brings up the Content Control Properties dialog box. Give it a name. Select location. Same thing, color, and on my bottom here, here's where I can add, right? So drop down list properties area is where I can add, and I can add a choice and display name. So for example, if my management conference is going to be held in Chicago, for example, for instance, but the users whom I'm sending this document to, they reside in 3 cities, okay? They reside in New York, in Austin, and San Francisco, okay? So I want the user to pick any one of these cities wherever they are, okay? They don't have a choice. So I'm going to restrict them to first New York, and then I'm going to add again. I'm going to say Austin, and I'm going to add my third city, San Francisco, okay? All right, so once I've added all these 3 options for my content control drop-down selection, I click OK, and Word automatically now has these lists. I don't see them right now because I'm in design mode, okay? As soon as I go away from design mode, I'm going to show you this. I click away from design mode, click anywhere within my content, I can simply pick all my locations. So I can choose an item, either New York, Austin, or San Francisco, and you can build a list according to your own requirements. I'm going to go back to my design mode here again. Okay, click on the next line. So I have my name that I want from the user. I want the location of the user, and I just restricted the user to pick from three locations. All right, then I'm going to say, put some dates. So arrival date. Arrival date. Here I'm going to use, let's see, where's my date picker here? Here it is. Okay, so I'm just going to click date picker, and Word says click here and enter a date. Let's right click, check out some properties here of the dates. Okay, so I'm going to go right to the bottom here. I can display date in various formats, right? It just depends on how you wish the user to see the dates. Month, day, year, or you can have day, month, year, depending on the format or your requirement, and the calendar type. Store XML contents in the following format when mapped. XML content is for, if you're linking it to the web and you're doing some programming. So this is out of this course. I'm going to show it in the next course. All right, so once you've selected the type of date, click OK, and here's my arrival date, and also want a departure date. Do the same thing, date picker again. All right. I will be attending, the spelling's right here, the following events. And I'm going to list out some events also. Delete this space here. Found, so you can see. All right, here I'm going to give 3 choices, 4 choices, or 2 choices to the user, whoever's going to fill out this form. And I'm going to create some checkboxes, right, for the user just to pick. So first, my first event will be sightseeing. So I want to be able to to create a box here. So after sightseeing, I go up to my controls group and I select checkbox content control. Okay, the Word is going to place this. Same thing, I can go check out some properties of this box. I can say sightseeing as my title. And I can change the symbol. So once the user clicks, it places a cross within this box. I can always create a symbol of my own. If I don't want a cross, I want some other symbol, I can always pick any one of these. Okay. Same thing with unchecked. If unchecked is blank by default. Similarly, you can have it a default value. Okay. So I click OK. Tab once again. My next event is city tour. Okay. Same thing, go up to my controls group, create another checkbox, and then my third is, all right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to sightseeing, I'll be attending the following event. I'm going to sightsee, and I'm going to say, let's say, magic show. Wow, I'll just make that up. Okay. Same thing, I insert another checkbox. Okay. So if I go away from design mode now, notice my form is looking much better. Obviously, I can do some formatting. Okay, let's say I want to be able to create some table or styles and whatever, and you can do that. Okay, so it's up to you. It's completely up to you. You can choose some of the styles. Go to your home tab, bring up your style. Okay, and you can say this is the style that I want, or you can create a new style. All right, so once I have my form, I'm going to close the styles group. I can save it as, of course, save it as a template, this document, and then send it to the user. Notice if I go back to my developer tab and my design mode, right click, properties on any one of these controls. I mentioned earlier that you can lock it, right? So content controls cannot be deleted. And you can do the same thing with each one of these while you create them, or you can do it later. I didn't do it in the first instance because we can edit it and delete it, right? But I'm just going to use this option for a couple of my controls here on the top, okay? And then go away from the design mode. All right, so once you get this form, the user is going to see this form, and the user is going to say, all right, my name is John Collins, okay? And my location is New York. My arrival date, very nice. I'm going to be arriving on Thursday, and I'm going to be departing on Monday. And I will attend sightseeing, and I'll also like to see the magic show. And he's done, okay? So he's going to save this document or the template and send it back to you, or you can publish it on the web. Lots of things you can do. And you'll have this form. So very, very easy way to create form in Word 2013, collect data from the users. These forms again can be used for an example such as I provided, which is attending a global management conference information, or you can have your company data collected, or your HR forms. You can build new hire orientation forms. So these are just a couple of examples to use these forms in Word 2013. Okay, so let's take a quiz. We're working more with content controls and designing forms, building forms. I've shown you in my last tutorial how to create a basic simple form. All right, so we're gonna do another form here and explore some additional options, some advanced features that may also be helpful when you design forms and work with properties of these forms. If you click on Developer tab, you'll see the controls group, which allows you to create and design forms. Okay. If you do not have the Developer tab active within your Word 2013 environment, then simply go to File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and then make sure this box is checked. Okay, that's the only way you can get to see your developer tools. All right, so back to my form. I'm going to design a simple new HR form. Okay. And I'm going to say name, tab, few spaces, go up to my controls group. This time I'm going to enter a rich text content control. Okay, so we'll take a look at, oops, I forgot the design mode again. Remember guys, you have to be in design mode first. It's much easier to work with that. Okay, so right click, go to properties, and one thing I want to show you this, if you're not in design mode, okay, so let's say I'm not in design mode right now. If I right click on the control, I'm not going to see an option called properties. I'm not going to see that. The only way I can get to the properties is from the ribbon, from the controls group. But if I am in design mode, and then I right click on my control, boom, I see properties. Okay, so another way for you to know whether you are in design mode or you're not. All right, so let's go to the properties of this. Title is name, first name. I want a bounding box, color is fine, cannot be deleted. Okay, all right, so next, address, go back up here, another rich content control, right click, properties, and I'm just creating them. Okay, we've done this in the last tutorial, so no big deal here. Address, I want a tag, cannot be deleted, click OK. Okay, skills, or skill set rather. Do I know Word 2013 expert? Checkbox. Okay, go to the property checkbox here. Cannot be deleted. Change this to, we'll just leave it. Okay, you get the idea. It's pretty basic. All right, so Excel 2013 expert, checkbox, and same thing. I do not want this content control to be deleted. All right, so here's my form that people are going to fill out and tell me whether they are an expert in Word 2013 or they are an expert in Excel 2013. Okay. Here I can use the, I'm going to insert another content control while designing my form, which is the picture content control. Scroll down here. And here is where the user is going to insert a picture. Okay, so I'm going to have the user insert a picture. So go to properties, insert picture. Cannot be deleted. And here's my insert picture content control. Okay. Move to the next line. And same thing, I can work with the combo box content control that I showed you earlier, also, or the drop down. Okay. All right, so let me get out of the design mode here. And it's much easier if you work with tables, right? So just highlight the text, go back home, tab. You can use any of the formatting here. Remember, you can make it bold, you can make it italic if you wish, or we can work with some table options here, work with them. I notice this, I need to just bring this field down. Okay. Small, so it looks a little symmetrical. And bold, nice and colorful, underline, and of course this is the hard-coded way, right guys? So the easiest way is what? Styles, you got it. So we can just pick a style that we've created, depends on whatever style you have, it'll format it as per your style. Okay, so if you want heading 1, heading 3, normal, strong, so I want to keep it strong, so it's all bold. All right, click here to enter text. Oops. Mark, first name only, and address is 244 South Park Drive. and my skill set is that I'm an expert in Word 13. Okay, here I can insert a picture. I'm just going to work offline, pick a picture here, and here's my picture. Okay. And notice how easy it is to work with content controls and making the user fill out the form. I forgot a heading here. I'm going to say, please insert your passport size picture. Okay. Highlighting here. So it's important. So you get the idea, right? So we can create forms, we can insert, work with pictures, and so forth. Let me go back to my developer tab here. New thing I want to show you here is the restrict editing feature. We worked with this in one of our initial tutorials. I've demonstrated how to restrict editing. But this is another good way to make sure that your form that you've designed with such great effort, no one can really delete it or change it and work with it, okay? So you can format the restriction on the formatting, okay? Settings will bring up the limit formatting to the selection of styles, okay? Again, recall from our earlier tutorials, we can restrict some of the themes, blog themes, etc., recommended minimum, all, none, and you can pick and choose if you're using a style. Or you can say allow only this type of editing in this document, read only, okay? Track changes, comments, filling in forms. Okay? So this is nice, where you can only allow this type of editing in the form. And you can say start enforcing, give it a password, set it up, or you can use user authentication for owners of these documents, and they're the only ones that can remove the document protection. Okay? So a good way to restrict editing to this particular template or document. Okay? And this is found in the protect group under the developer tab. So we're comfortable with the controls group. We're pretty comfortable with the protection of your documents or the templates. Here's the document template. So if I click on template and add-ins, I can attach the normal template or any other template that I want. With this, here are my add-ins. Again, I'm using Mendeley, so it lists it here. I also have EndNote, an EndNote web, which I use as add-ins. We can also use XML schema. So again, this is, we can add schema if you have a file, HTML-based file, or you can pick from a schema library. And there's some add-ins, you can add schemas to it, and so forth, okay? So a little more advanced on the programming side of things. Same thing with XML expansion packs. You can add certain code, certain XML packs to this template, or you can have a linked CSS style sheets. Okay, so if you have, if you're working on the web and you're designing, you're a web developer, we can always link our style sheets with this form. Okay, so the idea is that Word allows you to use this form, and you can simply place it on the web and link it with your form fields, or link these fields to your database, even to your backend if you're using SharePoint server or you're using SQL. There's a whole vast bunch of possibilities working with forms. Okay, again, from simple forms to complex forms. Let's take a small quiz. All right, we'll continue our work with designing and building forms, and in this tutorial I will show you how to create and use legacy controls, right? So let's say if you'd like to create some buttons on your form and be automatically be able to use or initiate some macros or commands. Okay, it's a little more advanced than previous tutorials, but may form to be very handy, especially if you're working with designing forms and emailing forms and so forth. So in this tutorial, I'm going to create a button, and I'm going to assign a code to that button so that when users click on that button, their email open, right? Or they are able to email their document. So let me show you this. So we have this document open here, which is again our research proposal, and I'm going to just quickly insert a form here. Now this is going to be some practice for you, but practice is good. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll down here somewhere. All right, here's where I'm going to enter my form, And this is again my management. Oops. Conference agenda form, something like that. So I'm just gonna do some quick formatting here. All right, how do I get to my forms? Remember, recall, we must have the developer tab enabled. And if you don't see the developer tab within your Word 2013 environment, go up to File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and on the right side you'll see the developer. So if this checkbox is checked, you will see the developer tab. If this is not checked, you will not see it. Okay, so just wanted to show you quickly. All right, so under developer tab, we go to our controls group, and of course we first design mode, and then we insert some text here, name, and we go up to our fields. I want to insert a rich text field here. Okay, address. You get the idea, right? So we've done this before, so I'm just going to quickly do this again, just so that we're comfortable with it. All right, so let's say let me just do this quick here. Let me right click, properties, choose an item. Okay, I want to Chicago, and again, San Francisco, Austin, and New York. Okay, so just some sample here text for you. All right, pick a location. I need to create a heading here. Okay, and I can also tab these to make sure they're on the right side. Okay, I want to put some arrival date rather, and here's my date picker control. All right, so let's say I have this form, okay, developed already. I need to create a button here now, okay, that is going to email the entire document or my form if I'm creating a standalone form to a user or to anyone, okay. So let's see how we do this. Controls group also has some legacy controls, legacy forms, some ActiveX controls. And under ActiveX, you can again use checkboxes, text, scroll bar, etc. And I'm looking for a command button. Okay, here it is. So this will insert a command button for me so that once the user is done filling out this form, he or she'd be able to just click on the button and then email the document. Okay, and that'd be nice. That'd be much handy. All right, so once I insert a command button, notice I'm still in design mode. So let me just right click and go to properties and just take a look at what I see on the screen here. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. And maybe size so we can see our document. Okay, these are just general properties regarding this button. Okay, there's no code here, so we just need to format. It's just formatting of this button here. So for example, if the name of the button is command button 1, I need to rename it called submit. Okay, I can change the fore color if I want, make it blue, whatever, different colors. I can pick an option here, or I can pick from palette here. Okay, so let's say pick blue. And these are again alphabetically ordered, and I can also see it as categorized. So I can change the appearance of this box, I can change the behavior of this box, font, some miscellaneous options, and I can also insert a picture as far as this box is concerned. Okay. All right, so here's the caption. Okay, and I'm going to say submit to this caption, and notice Word changes the button to submit. Okay. All right, so I'm still in design mode. All I did was format the button. The second thing that I need to do is basically put a code behind this button. Okay, so what's going to happen when someone clicks this button? To do this, I simply double click on the button, and this will open up the Visual Basic for Applications editor. Okay, this is where I can write my code as to tell that once someone clicks on the submit button, what's going to happen. So if I click, this code is going to run. Right now there's no code, I'm going to create a code, a very short code that allows you to email the document. And again, you can work with it if need be. If you're already working with programming side of things, this will be very easy. If not, no big deal. You can always search for codes, and I'm going to give you some additional codes at the end of the course also, some basic codes so you can work with them. Okay. So all right, let's see. This is going to be the submit button, and it's going to open up the email. All right. So I'm going to go. All right, options. Dot send mail. Attach, and this I'm going to say is going to be true. Oops. Okay. I forgot the S in the options. Notice how it says, oh, that's not right. So you got to fix it. And then I'm going to say, all right, activate my document. So my active document, and then send mail. I can either select from here or I can just keep typing. Okay. All right. So here's my code. Simple code. I can check it, test it, run it. I work with other tools as well, and my document is this document, so this code will relate to this document. Okay, and I've assigned it to the button because I double clicked on the button to assign this particular code to that button. So all I have to do is just close this, go out of my design mode, and test it out. So I'm going to say, all right, name is going to be John here, and my address is going to be 222 Northbrook Avenue. I'm going to pick a location, say San Francisco, and my arrival date is going to be Friday the 21st. Okay. And if I click submit now, my email editor opens, the document is automatically attached, and all I have to do is just type in the email, and off the form goes. Okay. So very, very powerful way to create buttons. Create your entire form like this so that it's easier. And I can do some formatting here quick. Maybe I just want a outside border, okay, and so forth. So quick way to work with legacy controls, and that's found on the developer tab, controls group. I can create a button, which I've just showed you. Similarly, I can also work with other things, but you need to know a little bit of programming. Okay, so if you're not too keen on programming, that's fine. There are tons of codes available. We can just pick and you can play with them. But I showed you a good way to get into the Visual Basic editor and then kind of insert some code and work with it. Okay, so I hope this helps. Powerful way of creating forms in Word 2013. Let's take a short quiz. All right, welcome to this lecture. This tutorial, I will show you how to create mail merge operation, and we use them probably on a regular basis if you're into mailing letters to your clients or sending out emails using mail merge. I will demonstrate how to create mail merge operations by using each individual fields, by inserting merged fields within your document, and using Excel spreadsheet if you have a list of recipient addresses stored in a huge database or an Excel spreadsheet. I will also show you how to import that and use that as within your mail merge operations. I will also demonstrate how to create your recipient list within Word 2013. So it depends the way you want it to be. I'm going to show you all the ways to do the mail merge operations. The mail merge essentially is on the mailings, which is up on the top here. The entire ribbon area is about mail merge. Okay, essentially about I'd say about 6 steps for the entire mail merge operations are required. Starting from the left side of the ribbon, if you go across towards the right side, we will essentially start from the left using some of these options, and by the time we're at the end, we'll be done with the mail merge. Okay, so that's really about 6 steps or 7 or 5, or depending on how many steps you create, but on average about 6 steps to the mail merge operations. For instance, first we set up our envelope and labels. We can do it later on too. Create the mail merge, right? Select the recipients, insert fields, set some rules, preview the results, check for errors, and finish the merge. Okay, so it's really, we go in this sequence. It's much easier to work with mail merge. All right, let's begin. So we have a blank document open, nothing here. Okay, I'm going to do everything from scratch, so you get to see exactly how I set up the recipient addresses, how I set up in Excel, how to insert a merge field, and so forth. Okay, so it's just a blank document, nothing. I'm just going to create a, let's say, a letter or an email message, right, whatever it is that I want to send it to my recipients. I can have my recipients from either my online, such as LinkedIn, okay, where 2013 allows me to do that, pull the source from there, or I can use my Outlook contacts that are stored in my Outlook, or I can pull source from Excel, or make one within Word 2013. Okay, so lots of ways I can bring in the recipients to my mail merge operation. But first, let me start by creating a simple letter here. So I'm going to say November 18th, and I'm going to leave some spaces here because this is the reason why I left some spaces, is because I want my merge fields in there, right? Like first name, last name, address, city, state, zip. I'm writing a letter. And then my subject, for instance, is management conference agenda. Okay, so that's my subject here. I can use some styles, obviously, but I'm just quickly show you how to work with it. Okay, subject is here, and then I'm going to say dear. Oops, I don't want this bold. Space. I'm going to use the merge field here. Please confirm if you will attend the upcoming conference scheduled to be held on November 22nd in Chicago. Okay, and I'm going to close the letter here. Thank you. And cite my name. Okay. All right. So simple letter. This is where I would insert the. This area I will insert the merge fields, right? But I'm going to set up these fields, which I don't know yet because I don't know whether if I'm using an existing source, whether I don't have a source. I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to show you next. Okay. So once you have a layout set up, and let's see how we begin. Let's start mail merge. We can say, all right, we want to send letters. Are we sending email messages to bulk recipients? Are we printing out envelopes, labels, or setting up a directory, okay, a list, or a normal Word document? Or I can use a wizard, okay? So I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to send a letter. Notice if I click on email messages here, it just changes the layout for me for now, okay? And the reason why I know is that on the bottom right side, this is my web layout, okay? So this is how my email is going to show up using the web layout. If I switch back to my print layout, it brings me back to my letter format. Okay. Here I have a couple of options. I can either create a new list of recipients, I can use an existing list, or I can choose from Outlook contacts. It depends on how you want to, where's your list. We don't have one right now, so I'm going to first show you how to create an existing, then I'm going to show you, first I'm going to show you how to create a new list, then I'm going to show you how to use an existing list, and then I'm going to show you how to choose from Outlook contacts. Word brings up the dialog box, says new address list, and I can start typing, creating my list. Mr. Okay, John, first name, last name, company, and 244. So similarly, you can fill out the entire address book depending on the fields. Now, if you don't need some of these fields, like home phone number, for example, if I don't need it, I can always edit it, create a new entry, or delete an entry. So if I wish to get rid of the home phone, I can say delete entry, not this entry, customize columns. Okay, pardon me. Here I can customize my columns. So for example, if I don't want, again, this home column, I can click on my home phone and say delete. Okay, I'm going to say when you delete field home phone, any information in this field will also be deleted. Fine, I don't need it. Click OK, and now notice my home phone is bigger. It's not there anymore. Okay. Similarly, I can customize my columns the way I want it. Alright, so once you have all these addresses listed in the new address list, once you click OK, Word is going to save this as an MDB format file. Okay, so the file extension that Word automatically gives is the database file called mdb.mdb. Alright, so click OK. Word says save the list. I'm going to give it a name here. I'm going to say company contact. And notice it's the .mdb extension. And click save. Okay. So I have created a new list. The next step is again moving from left to right, is to work with the write and insert fields, is where I want to be able to insert the merge field. Notice here I have all the field names listed, and these are exactly the same field names as I have in my when I created this list. So this is manually inserting the merge field, right? The other option I have is using the address block and the greeting lines. These are like pre-built-in formats that I can use to insert. So for example, I can use an address block here where it shows me a preview. So if I click OK, Word is going to insert this address block. In other words, pre-formatted merge fields, right? So it saves me time instead of entering each field manually. Okay, so a couple of ways you can do it. So this is what is going to help me. Okay. All right, so we're going to start inserting some merge fields, right? So I click on insert merge fields, and my first field is going to be title. Okay, and notice how Word puts these less than greater than signs, right? These brackets next to the title field, and I'm going to enter. Go to my next line, my first name, space in between, last name, and then enter to a new line. Maybe I want to see the company name here, and next line, and address 1, and we'll continue my city. So I'll put a comma here, and my state, and my zip code. All right, skip the lines here. All right, so once I've set up the merge fields, here notice I can click on the highlight merge field button, and what this does is simply shows me all the fields that are highlighted within my document. So whether I'm doing a mail merge in a standard document, or if I'm doing it in a research document, wherever it is I insert a merge field, by highlighting these fields identifies and makes it easy to see all these fields. So once I've inserted all these merge fields, I'm moving on to the right side. I can set some rules. I'll come back to this later on. All right, so once I've inserted the merge fields, I click on preview results, and Word automatically populates the fields with my address book that I've created. And here I can navigate from my first record to my next record. If I go record 2, then it populates record 2. Okay. And if I'm done, I can say finish and merge. I can either edit individual documents one by one when it starts to merge, or I can print the documents and merge it to the printer directly, or I can send an email messages to my merge list. All right, so I've shown you how to create a merge, mail merge, using a new address book that we create in Microsoft Word. Here, for example, I can set some rules. I'm going to quickly show you this, and you can later work on some of these various rules. I can stipulate here, ask, fill in, if then else, merge record number, and so forth. So for example, if I need to say at the end of the word Sally Johnson here, my first name and last name, I like to be able to insert an exclamation mark, right, for all my records. So if I have 300 or 3,000 records, it would be very cumbersome for me to start entering exclamation mark at the end of every record, right? So what I can do is I can create a rule, if then else rule. For example, I can say, okay, well, if the field last name equals is not blank, okay, insert the exclamation mark, okay, and I click OK. and it does it for this document. Now if I navigate to my first record, I also see an exclamation tag. So rules are very powerful. So if you miss something, if you want to add certain things to it, you can use rules to create that. Next, I'm going to show you how to create merge with an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so I'm just going to delete the merge field here. Okay, back to square one. All right, I'm going to open up my Excel and create a new list. Okay, go up to my Excel here, and I'm going to start populating, let's say, my title, and that's my first name. My last name goes in this column, my address, my city, state, and zip. I go to row 2. I'm just showing you again. You can create any headings that you like, but just to be consistent, I'm creating a recipient database. And we'll save that and you'll see. All right, my first name is John Collins, address 4. Okay, Jersey, and 1 as my zip code. Okay, so I go to my next record here, and I enter the first name and my last name. And the same thing I do with the address, right? So I just fill it out. Okay, Chicago, Illinois. Checking it out, right? All right, let's create another record here. A little different here. Right, so I'm going to say Robert here. And my city is Austin, Texas. Okay, so you can see, let me expand that so you can see the entire list. So here's my header row. I can bold that, format it the way you want it. Okay. All right, let's say you have created all these lists and you would like to use this particular list from Excel into your Word document. Okay, so let me say mail merge list, and I click save. Let me go back to my Word document here where I'm going to be inserting. So placing the insertion point or the cursor on the spreadsheet to be imported. Notice in this instance, select recipients. I'm not going to type a new list, okay, because I've shown you this already. I'm going to use an existing list. Okay, so as soon as I click on existing list, where it says, okay, where is this list? Where do I find this list? So I go to my desktop, and on my desktop I see a list called mail merge list that I just created and saved in Microsoft Excel. So once I select this list, this Excel spreadsheet, click open, and I get this select table dialog box. Since Excel has multiple sheets, I may have data or list stores in multiple sheets. Excel wants to know for sure which sheet I'm going to be selecting for my where is the recipient list basically. Okay, so I say, okay, well, here's one sheet. I only use one, and I click OK. And here's the option: first row of data contains column headers. Okay? If I uncheck this, then Excel is going to use the first row as column headers. Okay, if I specify this, then Word is going to say, okay, well, recognize the first row of data that contains my first name, last name, my title, first name, last name, and so forth. So I click OK. Now I need to insert some merge fields. So merge fields, and notice any difference here from our previous merge field? Of course you do, because these fields are now the fields from my Excel spreadsheet. These are not from my earlier address book that I created in Word. This time, automatically, the merge fields are displayed as my headers. So I click title. All right, So I'm going to say, well, the reason I see Mr. here because I have preview results on. Okay. Uncheck this, I'm going to see the word title. Okay, Mr. I'm going to keep it one name, insert another name, first name, and last name. Structure it a little differently here. My address goes here, and my city, comma, state, and my zip code. Okay. So here my field. All I have to do is just say preview results, and boom, my address is here. And go to my next record. I see my next record. So very powerful. You can use Excel, you can use Word, depending on where you want to create the address list. All right, last thing quickly, I want to show you how to select recipients from my output contacts. Okay. So here I am, back to square one on my letter here that I'm going to be using for mail merge purposes. Go up to my recipients, choose Outlook contacts, pick up your profile, click OK, and Word is going to display a dialog box for me, which will ask me, all right, which contacts do I want to pick? There are 150 contacts in Playdesk, and then there are some LinkedIn contacts for a couple of different directories or sources. So it depends on which address book you're going to select. So I'm just going to select pick one here, and click OK, and automatically I see a list of all the names that are here in my list. Then I click OK, and Word selects that list. All I have to do again is do the same exercise again. Insert merge field, and notice all these merge fields, right? So these are the fields that are part of that address book. So let's say if I want to do first name, and I'm going to do first name here, and let's see what else. Okay, oh, might as well do it. All right, first name, last name, and then see, is there an email address? Email address. Okay, so I just want to be able to see the email address. Okay. Show preview, and I get my first. Click next, and get my next, and so forth. And I can go all the way down to my last recipient, which is 150, which tells me that this is my last. So powerful way to create mail merges in Microsoft Word. Again, recalling those 6 steps, right? Starting from mail merge, and then creating the addresses, selecting recipients, setting up some rules, seeing results, and then finally you can merge it to the printer. So I hope practice it a couple of times, use different types of address books, use Excel, very powerful. Word 2013 works very well with Excel or any of the database source that you have to bring in the recipients for mail merge. It saves you a lot of time and effort. Okay, so let's take a short quiz.